Hi, I'm Mr. Rosengrant, and we have with us here today on the Zoom call Hillary Lebouitz-Schaefer. She is a medical esthetician and owner of Lebo Skin Care. Hillary, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about what it means to be an esthetician. So what is an esthetician and what do they do?
So estheticians specialize in skincare. Anything from facials to helping someone with troubled skin in any way. It could be because they're dehydrated. It could be because of acne. It could be because they're oily, they're sensitive. It would be knowing how to help them with skin issues, anything from cosmetic to a little more medical, which is more of what I do. But there's a wide range of what an esthetician can do as far as the skin is concerned.
I know that your title is medical esthetician. Are there different estheticians and that the different estheticians can do different things?
There's really two different types of estheticians. There's a regular esthetician or there's a medical esthetician. An esthetician can easily become a medical esthetician, and a medical esthetician can do all of the regular esthetician things. So they kind of cross paths a little bit. I find that the regular esthetician typically works more in like a spa atmosphere. It's more of feel-good services. They don't do higher leveled treatments that a doctor would have to oversee. And that's where it crosses into the medical esthetician, where the medical esthetician, especially in the state of Pennsylvania, can perform a lot of different services, but they must be overseen by a physician to be able to do that.
A lot of high school students feel a lot of anxiety, especially the closer and closer they get to their senior year or into their senior year, about figuring out what they're going to do after high school. And there's so many different options and they feel like it's this big choice and they have to make the right decision. And but what I find is most of us, through just experiencing things and trying things, just kind of being willing to explore and see what's out there and do this type of thing, like watch a video about what an esthetician does, for example.
Sure.
As you explore and see things, you find your way and you find your path. So it's not always a straight line. Most people aren't like, I know I want to be a teacher from the time I was born and then I became a teacher. Right. Usually you try a bunch of different things. Could you tell us a little bit about your path? What were you thinking when you were in high school about what you might want to do, and how did you end up to where you are today?
I don't think I took high school as seriously as I could have. I did not know what I wanted to do at all when I was in high school. My mom had been a kindergarten teacher and had felt that I would be a great kindergarten teacher. So when I went to college, I did start undecided, but then quickly started going into the elementary ed direction. And I graduated with an elementary ed degree. But I did know that like in my junior year, I didn't think I'd really want to teach. I also had a psych minor and like a learning disabilities cognate and an art cognate. So I thought I'd go into more like psychology and children's psychology. But then my mom had talked to me about going into aesthetics and checking into that. And I had no idea what it was. I ended up touring this school that I had gone to, which actually just recently closed, which is such a shame because it was an excellent school. And I thought, it was very interesting because it was very new. I knew that my dad, which is Dr. Lebouitz, which is a dermatologist, I knew that he wanted to add on aesthetic services and do a little bit more with that. So I thought, well, let me do this path because it was not expensive to go to school. It wasn't a long period of time. And if I didn't like it, then I could always go in and get my master's and go into other things. But I ended up loving it. And then from there, opened up the business and it just kind of took off because it was perfect timing to get into this field.
Well, it seems like it's worked out very well for you. It sounds like you have a great business, and I know you're expanded into Hanover as well. So we'll get into a little more about what happens at Lebo Skin Care. But before we do that, I was curious about what is sort of a day in the life of an esthetician? So what are some things that they would actually do? What's a typical day at work? What are some of the rewarding parts about the job? And kind of what are some difficult or more challenging parts as students are kind of thinking about what they're good at, what they like, and trying to match
Yeah.
that up with a career?
So for me, it's different. It can be different because I focus on the medical aesthetic end of things. When I was in school, it was kind of it was where you were introduced to the pampering end. So if you liked the more holistic, the facials, the feel good end, your day would be consisting of facials and being in a spa and having people relax and recommending good skincare and how to take good care of their skin. But you're definitely more of that pampering feel good feel. I liked more of the like a results driven, where if I had somebody that came in that had a problem with their skin, I could fix them a little more medically. So my day, I definitely do everything from lasers, where I work with like for laser hair removal. We work with lasers that treat brown spots and fine lines. We do chemical peels, which are different acid solutions that we put on the skin that target anything from aging to sun damage to acne and oil. So my day as a whole could be anything from skincare consults, where I have somebody come in and they're not sure if I can help them. You know, maybe their problem is too medical. Maybe they really need to see the dermatologist. Because the spot that they have on their face that they think is just a brown spot, maybe it's more of something that looks more suspicious to me that the dermatologist needs to look at. Or maybe it is just a brown spot and I can quickly laser it off and they're happy and, you know, they move on from that. Or it could be somebody has never taken good care of their skin. They've been in the sun for a long time. They have not been wearing sunscreen and they have a lot of just sun damage. So now it's getting them set up with products and treatments and everything to make their skin look a lot better.
So it sounds like there's almost like a referral back and forth between an esthetician and a dermatologist. The dermatologist
Yes.
might say, hey, you want to see an esthetician for this? Or an esthetician might notice something that maybe could be a more serious situation and they would refer them on to the dermatologist. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, especially in our practice. That's like, we're really, really lucky to have that type of a relationship with the doctor. Not all facilities will have that, where the doctor's right there on the property. So it is nice to be able to do that. And we definitely do work hand in hand together.
So if a high school student is thinking about becoming an esthetician, what kind of education or training is necessary? What kind of credentials, certifications, that sort of thing, and where can they go to get that?
So they really just need a high school diploma. After that, then they can go to aesthetic school, which in the state of Pennsylvania, it's actually a cosmetician license is what you will technically have at the end. I know there's a Lancaster School of Cosmetology now. I know is it York Technical? I know they have some type of a program as well. The problem with Pennsylvania is it's only like 300 hours or 380 hours that you need, which is not much when you really think about it. If you're going to go into the spa end of things, it's fine. But if you're going to get more into the medical, you definitely will need more training after that. And that's what most facilities, if you can get in with like a medical aesthetic business, they will take you from the esthetician and really train you into the medical aesthetics. And that can be a year long of shadowing and like an apprenticeship and kind of just spending time and learning all of that, because there's not a lot of places where you can go in and go, oh, okay, I'm going to be a medical esthetician and I'm going to get training on every laser and every peel. And it's kind of better to get hands-on training wherever you're going to end up working on what they have, so that you really know those things. And then you can kind of just keep adding to your, repertoire of things. But the basic, it's usually about 300 and I think it's 360 or 380 hours in the state of Pennsylvania. Most of the courses that you're going to find, that's what they're going to focus on. and then you become the esthetician from there. And then you can decide, do you want the spa end or do you want the medical end? And you can go from there.
Is there a lot of job openings? Is it like, are they really hiring estheticians right now? Is this a growing field? And what kind of salary do estheticians typically make?
The spa end of things, I think there's a little more opportunity because there's a lot of spas around. So from the pampering end of things, I think it would be a lot easier to get a job. You know, from the spa end, you can do waxing, you can do the facials, you can do things with brows. So there's a lot of those pampering type of feel good services that they offer. And there's a lot of places that offer it. The medical aesthetic end of it, there's not as many of our businesses around. I think in York, there's maybe 3 or 4, I think maybe 4. So you have to think like if each business has, you know, 2 to 3 estheticians and they don't have a lot of turnover, it might be hard to get your foot in the door in a medical aesthetic facility. But I always say never if it's your passion and you're, you know, open to starting in the pampering and, you know, always keeping your feelers out, something eventually can open up and you'll get your foot in the door. And keeping good communication with the business owners. I know the girls that we have taken on over time have been ones that have contacted us and kind of built up a good relationship. So I'm always thinking, oh, I've got this one in mind in case I, you know, ever have that opening, and I'd reach out to that person. So as far as salary, it really depends. The spa salon end of things, of course, you don't do as high dollar services. So, you know, your salaries, it's going to really depend on what you do there and how they pay you, because you can either get an hourly type of a position or you can get a commission based position. And same thing would go with a medical aesthetic position. You can go with like an hourly or you can go with a commission. You go commission, the sky's the limit, because, you know, if you believe in what you're doing, you will sell things you're not really trying to sell because you're helping somebody and you're doing services on them that are making a big difference, but you're also getting commission on those services. So, you know, I would say you'd see people walking out anywhere from a regular esthetician, maybe 30, 40,000. As a medical esthetician, you could be even at like 80 to 90 plus thousand. So you can do very, very well as an esthetician.
And you're not only an esthetician, but you started your own Lebo Skin Care business. And I know you have a product line as well of skincare products. Can you tell us a little bit about Lebo Skin Care and what they do and what services they provide?
Sure. So we've been in business now for about 22 years. I did start the business with my dad, who's a dermatologist. And then I have another business partner, Heather Whitmer, who's also a medical esthetician. So when we started the business, we actually really knew nothing. And we really had to build the business up from nothing. And because all of these services were so new, we kind of had to create them and really get to be the experts on everything that we do along the way, because there wasn't training at all for the medical end of things. So with that, we do everything from, we have nurse injectors and we have physicians that do things from like Botox to fillers to more invasive type procedures. And then we have the estheticians that do the chemical peels and the laser hair removal. And we do a procedure that's called cool sculpting that freezes fat. Really anything that bothers somebody cosmetically, we can pretty much address. And we have lots of different tools in our toolbox to do it, and lots of different providers that specialize in certain areas to be able to address that. I will say that a lot of the girls, we've had girls in the past that started off as an esthetician because they weren't ready to go to college, or they weren't sure if they wanted to go to college. And then they've gone to nursing school part-time as they're an esthetician. We have a girl that's doing that actually right now. So, you know, it's gonna take her a couple years till she's done, but in the end, she'll be a nurse injector and an esthetician. And you really can make a lot of money doing injectables. So, you know, it's nice to, you have a lot of opportunities and a lot of options.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on the call today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.